All right, today we're going to talk about simple interest. All right, simple interest. So I'll show you how to do this by hand, and then I'm also going to show you how to do this with Desmos, which pretty much just doing it by hand with a calculator. So I want to note that we have this formula, I equals capital PRT, I equals PRT. The I is going to be our interest. All right, that's going to be a dollar amount. Our capital P is our principal, all right, and that's going to be what we borrow. That's also going to be a dollar amount. All right, our R is our rate, and that's going to be a percent. That's the way they're usually going to give it to us, but we want to put it into a decimal. So don't forget about the double dip method. And last but not least is time. And it is very important that you note that time is going to be in years. All right, time is going to be in years. So if they give you 6 months, that would be half a year, right? All right, and then all we have to do is substitute all of our information that we'll get from the questions that you'll see in to our formula, then we'll get our answer. All right, so for example, with this one, right off the bat, just remember your formula, I equals PRT. Well, we know that P equals 250, so we can say that, I'm gonna make it look like a real good capital I. So our P is going to be 250, and that's going to be times our percent. Well, remember that we have a decimal here, and we want this percent to be in our decimal. Sorry, we have a decimal here, and we want our percent to be in decimal form. All right, so that's actually going to be 0.2, and that's going to be multiplied by T, which is 1, and since it's in year, we're good to go, so that's just going to be times 1. And when you plug this into a calculator, you will get $50. Right, you will get $50. All right, so that's just what your interest is going to be. All right, let's see. Now let me show you a little Desmos trick here. All right, so let's type in I, capital I equals, we'll just do PRT. And I'm going to type in P equals R equals T equals. All right, so let's just put in our P, which was 3,284. Our rate is 15.5%. So our R equals, sorry, I'm not going to worry about that, is 15.5%. Well, remember, we want to go 1, 2 to the left. So we actually have 0.155. So put that in, 0.155. And notice that our time is in months. All right, so think of how many months there are in a year, right? There are 12. So for time, you could either put 6 over 12, which you know is going to be 1/2, which you also know is going to be 0.5. You could put any one of these three in here for time. To make it easier with the least amount of like number crunching, I'm just going to put 6 over 12. And you'll see that it gives me this 0.5. Well, look, it also filled in what my I equals. I equals PRT, which equals $254.51. $254.51. All right, just like that in Desmos, just like that. So that would be our answer. So you've got a couple of different ways that you can actually solve these. All right, so again, let's just go ahead and throw this in Desmos. So my P is going to be 300. My R is 6%. So let's just remember, this is good practice. So we have 6%. Remember, we have a decimal here. We're going to come 1, 2 to the left, fill in that 0. So we're actually going to put in 0.06. And then our time is in years. So that's good. So that's just going to be 3. You can see that our answer is $54. All right, one more quick one. I'm going to go ahead and change my P to 1,000. All right, just going to drive this home. I have 5.5%. Need to turn that into a decimal. 1, 2. fill in my zeros. So I have 0.055%. And then notice that I have my 9, but it's in months. So I'm going to write that as 9/12. And you'll see up top here, I get $41.25. All right, so using Desmos, if you get a problem like this, no problem, just plug it in, you're good to go. All right, let's try. I'm gonna keep Desmos, my formula in Desmos. I'm gonna get rid of my numbers here. All right, so now we're back to, oops. Now we're looking at word problems, okay? So you might have to answer, wait, did I miss? Let's see. Interest, find the total amount in each account. All right. I should have made this transgression. I'm glad this is just my video. I didn't read the question, right? And this will be something that you guys do. All right, so we did know that our I equaled $54. Well, look, find the total amount in each account. We have this word total here. So what we want to do is add our I to our P. All right, so we will have 300 plus 54, which will equal $354. So when it asks for a total, you're going to have to add your interest to your principal. Okay? Same thing with example 4. I did not read this question, so do not make the same mistake that I did. Well, we know that our I is going to equal $41.25, but that is not the correct answer. Right? So find the total amount in each. So we're going to have I plus P, and that's going to equal $1,041.25. Right, so the correct answer would be A. So make sure you read the problem. And actually, if I want to just kind of show you this in Desmos as well, another thing that I can type in Desmos would be my I plus P, right? So you'll have both answers, both possible answers in Desmos right away. 0.055. Remember, we had 9 divided by 12. All right, well, look, initial, if I go to the top, it gives me my interest, which is $41.25. But if I scroll all the way down, it'll also give me my total because I added, right, my interest right here, plus my P, which is principal. All right, so you can set this up in Desmos to do a lot, if not all of the work for you. It's really just making sure you, A, read the question, which you just saw me make a mistake, and B, making sure that you are putting in the correct information correctly. All right, so let's try again. Read the question. All right, so William has $5,500 invested in bonds that pay 8% per year. How much interest will he have after 5 years? How much interest, right? So we're just looking for interest. How much interest? All right, so let's go ahead and write out our I, P, R, and T. Let's figure out what all of these things equal. All right, well, we don't know what interest equals, so we're looking for that. Remember, principal is our initial amount of money, so that's going to be $5,500. Our rate is going to be 8%, but we know we want that as a decimal, so we will actually have a 0.08. And our time is going to be 5 years, and that's in years, so that's good to go. All right, so we can just multiply 5,500 times 0.08 times 5, and what you'll get for your I, will be $2,200. $2,200. All right, and that's just our interest. It asked how much interest. So we're just going to stop here at C. All right, Jacob's taking out 5-year car loan for $12,500. He'll be charged 1.25%. for his loan. What is the total amount that Jacob will pay for his car at the end of the 5 years? What is the total amount? Let me highlight that. Remember, what is our total amount that Jacob's going to pay? So that's going to be him paying back this principal, that $12,500, but also paying back what his interest is going to be, right? So I'm going to put in equals PRT. And we don't know what the interest is. We definitely know our principal, because it's a dollar amount, is at $12,500. He's going to be charged 1.25% for his loan. Let's see, another trick here for your rate. You could just plug it into Desmos as 1.25 over 100, right? That is the same thing as plugging in 0.0125, right? But I'm going to show you that I can just plug this in as a fraction. And we have 5, and that's going to be in years, so we know we're good to go there. All right, so let me go ahead and pop this open in Desmos. So my principal is 12,500. My rate, remember I told you could type in 1.25 divided by 100. And look, it gives you that decimal, right? And our time was in 5 years, so we had no problems there. So our interest is $781.25. So you might make this mistake, but oh, answer C. It's not C. Remember, we have to read. I've already made that mistake once. What is the total amount Jacob's going to have to pay back? And that's going to be that $13,281.25. So that's going to be our principal plus our interest, right? Because our interest equaled $781.25. And that's actually going to be our interest and our principal added together to give us B. All right, let's try another one of these just strictly in Desmos. All right, so Joshua borrowed $3,600 from a credit union for 6 months at an interest rate of 10% per year. How much interest did he make at the end of 6 months? All right, so we know that we're just looking for interest. We're not looking for a total, just interest. So I'm going to write out my IPRT, and we're going to figure out how we're going to plug these in Desmos. Okay, so our interest, we don't know. Our principal, we started off with $3,600. See, time, we have 6 months. Remember, there's 12 months in a year. We need this to be in years, so that's 6 over 12. And our rate is 10%. And remember, we can put that over 100. So you can take out a lot of the little steps, if you know, unless you can do them in your head really quick. And then we just plug all this into Desmos, and we'll have 6 divided by 12. Well, when I come up to the top here, it gives me my interest. How much interest did he make at the end of 6 months? So my answer is going to be D. All right, so that's where we stop. Had it have asked how much would be in his account total, it would be, remember, our interest plus our principal, but we're just looking for interest. All right, Renee borrowed $800 from her bank for 15 months. The bank charges an interest rate of 1.5%. Find the total amount Renee will owe her bank. Total amount. We're talking about the total here. Total amount. All right, so interest we don't know. Principal is a dollar amount that she's borrowed, which was $800. She borrowed it for 15 months. Remember, there's 12 months in a year, so it's 15 over 12. And our rate is 1.5%. And if you don't want to double dip, you can just put that over 100. Come to Desmos, pop in our principal. Look at our rate here, 1.5 divided by 100. And our time, which was 15 divided by 12. And you'll see that it converts all of these to decimals for you. But when we come to the top, it shows you this is what she paid in interest, a whopping $15. But we want to know how much she owes her bank. So we come down to where we added our interest and our principal, and you see that she owes her bank $815. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, ask a teacher. Other than that, have a wonderful rest of the day.